Eddie Gerard, a man who defined hockey's golden age, and whose story's been buried under a century of ice. In the heart of Canada's capital, Ottawa, a legend was born. Edward George Gerard, known to many as Eddie, would become one of hockey's earliest stars and a pivotal figure in the sport's history. On February 22, 1890, Eddie Gerard entered the world. Little did anyone know that this Ottawa native would go on to leave an indelible mark on the game of hockey and become one of its first true stars. It was on the frozen ponds and in the newly built arenas that Gerard would truly make his name. Gerard's hockey career took off when he joined the Ottawa Senators in 1913. In his first game on January 28, 1914, against the Quebec Bulldogs, Eddie showed glimpses of the star he would become. Eddie wasn't just a goal scorer. He was a versatile player, starting his career as a left winger before transitioning to defense. This adaptability would become one of his greatest strengths. The press quickly took notice of Gerard's talents. His speed, stick handling, and physical play made him a force to be reckoned with on the ice. As Eddie's popularity grew, global events were taking center stage. This was the era of World War I, and with so many athletes going overseas to fight, the sport was losing momentum. Gerard stayed home and kept the sport alive during that time period. His actions demonstrate how he and other athletes had to adapt to the circumstances of the day, or else risk losing a beloved part of their culture. In 1917, the landscape of professional hockey changed forever with the formation of the National Hockey League. Eddie Gerard was there from the beginning, ready to make his mark in this new era. In the NHL's inaugural season, Gerard showcased his offensive skills, finishing 8th in league scoring with 20 points in 20 games. But it was more than just his scoring touch that made Eddie special. Gerard's transition to defense proved to be a game-changer. Paired with the legendary Sprague Cleghorn, Eddie became one of the most formidable defensemen in the league. Cleghorn said of Gerard, "He was fast, he could stick handle, he was afraid of no man living, and had brains." But individual accolades weren't enough for Eddie Gerard. He was a born winner, and he proved it by leading the Ottawa Senators to unprecedented success. From 1920 to 1923, Gerard and the Senators, known as the Super Six, dominated the NHL. They won the Stanley Cup in 1920, 1921, and 1923. But Eddie wasn't done there. In a twist of fate, Gerard was called upon to be a replacement player for the Toronto St. Patrick's in the 1922 Stanley Cup Finals. His performance was crucial in forcing a deciding game, which Toronto won, giving Eddie his 4th consecutive Stanley Cup. This incredible feat made Eddie Gerard the first player in history to win the Stanley Cup 4 years in a row. It's a record that stood for decades and cemented his place in hockey lore. But Eddie's contributions to hockey didn't end when he hung up his skates. After retiring as a player in 1923 due to a throat ailment, Gerard turned his attention to coaching and managing. Eddie's coaching journey took him from the Montreal Maroons to the New York Americans, and finally to the St. Louis Eagles. His greatest success came with the Maroons, where he led the team to a Stanley Cup victory in 1926. Gerard's coaching style was influenced by his playing days. He valued toughness, speed, and intelligence on the ice, the same qualities that had made him such a formidable player. Sadly, Eddie's career was cut short by the same throat issues that had ended his playing days. He retired from coaching in 1934, leaving behind a legacy that few could match. Eddie Gerard's impact on hockey was immense. He was a talented multi-sport athlete, a versatile hockey player, a 4-time Stanley Cup champion as a player, and a Stanley Cup winning coach. It's no surprise that when the Hockey Hall of Fame was established in 1945, Eddie Gerard was among the first 9 players inducted. His place in hockey history was secure. Today, Eddie Gerard's legacy lives on. In Ottawa, where he was born and where he starred for the Senators, his name is still spoken with reverence by those who know their hockey history. From the frozen ponds of Ottawa to the bright lights of the NHL, Eddie Gerard's journey is a quintessential Canadian story.